sir.
Walaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sir, as you have known Mr. Sardar Yasin Malik for a very long time, and we are awarding him with an honorary doctorate degree. Is there anything you would like to say about his personality?
Sardar Sahib is a very interesting and impressive personality. He is a man of many qualities. Most among them, or most foremost among them, is that he is a very humane person, always considerate for others. And interestingly, we met regarding public service to do with the setting up of public toilets. And he was forthright in helping establish a chain. Then whether it had to do with medical treatment, educational stipends, other marriages, and other needs of people, he was always forthcoming, ever ready to help. Now, these are qualities that are, mashallah, needed and dear to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I think it is something that leaves a deep mark on society.
What do you think is the one thing that has made Mr. Yasin Malik achieve all the milestones that he has achieved?
Of course, everything is with the blessing of Almighty Allah, but it is his hard work, his sincerity, his vision, and like I said, his concern for others. And I'm glad that you recognized his services to society and are awarding him with this degree. I wish you and Sardar Sahib the best. May Allah bless you all.
Assalamu sir. सर, आपका ताल्लुक़ सरदार यासीन मलिक से बहुत पुराना और गहरा रहा है. क्या आप उनके बारे में अपने ख्यालात का इज़हार करना चाहेंगे?
जी बिल्कुल. जब आपने सरदार यासीन मलिक के बारे में पूछा तो यकीन इनका नाम सुनते ही फरिश्ता खतलत इंसान की याद आ जाती है. आपको याद होगा, पढ़ा होगा आपने कभी कि नूरजहां ने कश्मीर के बारे में कहा था कि अगर फिरदौस बर हुए ज़मीयत हमी हस्त तो मैं ये कहूँगा कि अगर ज़मीन पर कोई फरिश्ता मौजूद है तो वो सरदार यासीन मलिक हैं. उनको आप देखिए, चलते फिरते फरिश्ता हैं, नहायत खुश मिजाज, नहायत नरम गो, नहायत अनजूमिंग, किसी किस्म का तसन्नुन नहीं है उनकी बातों में या उनके रहन सहन में. ये वो चीज़ें हैं कि जो उनको सबसे नुमायाँ करती हैं.
पाकिस्तान इज़ ए लैंड ऑफ अपॉर्चुनिटी. यहाँ बहुत कुछ है. तनहा काम करने की कोशिश ना करें, बल्कि इसमें अपने कारोबार के लिए, अपने कैरियर के लिए कोशिश करें कि दयानतदार लोग आप ढूंढें. ग्रेजुएशन में थे तो हमारे साथ मोहम्मद सिद्दीक शेख हमारे क्लास में पढ़ते थे. उनका केमिकल का काम था, जहाँ से मेरे कैरियर शुरू हुआ कारोबार का. मैं वहाँ पर एज ए सेल्समैन काम करता था. कॉलेज के टाइम के बाद में तो 1% कमीशन मिलती थी मुझे. और मुझे एक्नॉलेज करना चाहिए मोहम्मद सिद्दीक शेख को. उन्होंने मुझे बहुत आगे बढ़ाया और अल्टीमेटली एंडेड अप व्हाट आई एम टुडे. मुस्तफ़ा कमाल पाशा प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में ही वाज माय गाइड. और ऑफ कोर्स हुज़ूर अकरम सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम मेरी ज़िंदगी में पहले नंबर पे आते हैं. माँ का जिक्र है तो मेरी माँ की दुआ मेरा ख्याल है कि बहुत ज़रूरी है. बहरहाल माय फादर हैज़ बीन 105 ईयर्स ओल्ड. मुझे नहीं मालूम कि मैंने कभी अपने बड़े भाई के सामने या अपने वालिद के सामने कभी ऊंची आवाज़ में बात की हो.
सरदार यासीन मलिक पाकिस्तान और अक़वाम आलम के दरमियान बेहतर तिजारती ताल्लुकात के फ़रोग़ में भी अहम किरदार अदा कर रहे हैं. शोबे तालीम की बेहतरी और मईशत की बहाली के साथ साथ यासीन साहब ने अपनी जिंदगी दूसरों का मयार जिंदगी बुलंद करने और अवामुन्नास को राहत पहुंचाने के लिए वक्फ कर दी है. ग्रीनिच यूनिवर्सिटी सरदार यासीन मलिक को इनकी गिरा कद्र खिदमात के एवज एजाजी डॉक्टरेट की सनद तफवीज करती है.
जन्नत रसूल की और दोज़ख में कैसे जाएगी ये उम्मत रसूल की। भर दो झोली, भर दो झोली, भर दो झोली, तुम्हारे आसान से ज़माना क्या नहीं पाता, तुम्हारे आसान से ज़माना क्या नहीं पाता।
The Greenwich Global Program gives students an opportunity to study in over 5 continents, with universities like the University of Bangor, the University of Hertfordshire, the University of Leeds in the UK, with universities such as the University of Murdoch in Australia and the University of Sigmund Freud in Austria, just to name a few of our partner universities. The 2+2 program gives students the access to study at Greenwich University for the first 2 years and then move on to any of our partner universities around the world and carry on with global careers anywhere around the world.
And I'm one of the alumni of Greenwich University. Currently, I'm the Group Director of HROC Group, which is a Malaysian-based HR business solutions organization, which started off from Karachi and later on expanded to Malaysia. At this point in time, this is one of the leading companies which is helping other organizations to have a proper setup in Pakistan with having all resources available. Wherever I am today, it's probably because of what I was taught back then when I was at Greenwich University, and I'm quite thankful to my faculty and my Vice Chancellor and everybody who was a part of the Greenwich University. They put in all their effort to ensure that they shape out an ordinary person into somebody who can bring in a change into the society. So I have represented myself at a lot of places, on international forums, local forums, and everywhere. I've mentioned very proudly that I am not a foreign graduate from any university of Harvard, but I'm actually a graduate of Greenwich University, and I'm quite thankful to it. So thank you, Greenwich, for shaping me out. Looking forward to having more forever.
My name is Akib Sayed. I am currently the Group GM Marketing for Multinet Pakistan Limited. I am a very proud alumnus of Greenwich University. Greenwich was a great experience in overall shaping my personality in the corporate world, and I thank you everyone at Greenwich and the current students and wish them a lot of success. Thank you so much.
So welcome to a session of the High-Level Political Forum. We need to rethink the idea of governance by placing SDG 16 at its center. Institutional and policy innovations at local, national, regional, and international levels can accelerate the implementation of SDG 16 and promote integrated whole of society approaches. This is essential in order to tackle complex challenges such as increasing inequalities, social and economic insecurity, climate change, and rapid technological disruption.
As the pandemic continues to rage, public service institutions in conflict-affected countries have been tested in their capacity to mount a coordinated response. Slow, ineffective, or unfairly distributed responses have fueled simmering discontent and distrust in the state and undermined social cohesion and economic resilience. Renewing the social contract, strengthening the rule of law, democratic institutions, and rebuilding trust between people and governments has emerged as key to making progress on the SDGs.
The poor and vulnerable are more exposed to its impact and face more difficulties in adjusting to the new normal. We therefore need to ensure that our responses are well targeted and effectively reach the poor and vulnerable. For this, accountable governance is the key.
Уважаемая госпожа модератор, мы хотели бы сделать короткую ремарку по теме цели устойчивого
развития. We'd like to make a statement on SDG 3. The Russian scientists have already developed 4 vaccines for COVID on their relevant technical platforms. The first of them, Sputnik V, has now being used in 60 countries, being used by more than 1.5 billion people. We are ready for future cooperation with other partners in the future to put an end to the COVID-19 pandemic and to ensure efforts are made to achieve SDG 3.
Bonjour, permettez-moi de m'exprimer en français. Monsieur le...
Myself in French, if I may. Mr. President, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic has had a spectacular impact of the world's efforts to reduce poverty. It also provides us with an opportunity to build a better future. The context of SDGs is key in terms of inclusive and sustainable development. These partnerships should include governments at all levels, civil society, the university world, multilateral organizations, and companies and civil society. We also would call for an approach based on human rights to build more peaceful, fair, and inclusive societies while ensuring that no one is left behind.
Merci, Madame.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. We believe that SDG 17 is of particular importance following the pandemic because it is this SDG on international partnerships. And today, in fact, we do hope that it's the SDG after the pandemic.
We live in strange and unpredictable times when the threat of a pandemic and restrictive measures imposed by those in charge has made peaceful assembly even harder than before. Times when inclusive and transformative efforts to counter deep-rooted inequalities are essential. In this decade of action, Sweden remains a dedicated ally in the pursuit of peace, at home and throughout the world.
The EU has recently also taken steps for the integration of fighting the inequalities in its development cooperation. Promoting and upholding the rule of law is a major priority for the EU internally and externally. The COVID-19 pandemic has set back progress on governance. In its external action, the EU will continue to support progress on democratic governance, rule of law, justice reform, and more effective taxation.
Peace, progress, and sustainability are built on the foundation of justice. Nepal's constitution has internalized such ethos and institutionalized the peace process and political transformation.
And I'd like to start with one that was made by Ambassador Idris on the need to think of a new social contract to prevent what he called simmering discontents. And this, I think, is a crucial issue that has come out of the pandemic. It not only has caused immediate suffering, but it has exposed inequalities and exclusion that were in existence beforehand, but not so visible. And that has great risk of grievance and of, in the end, the rise of social unrest. So this social contract, I think it will be important, of course, that it covers all the SDGs. The SDGs are the best medicine, but with particular emphasis on leaving no one behind.
Trying to use the leverage and influence of the international community in order to build national fiscal capacities rather than inadvertently undermining them. I mentioned 2 ways in which I would say those capacities, alas, have been undermined in the past. One, the relentless ideological pursuit of free trade, even when that is meant reducing or eliminating tariffs on luxury goods. And secondly, via deeply entrenched resistance of members of the international community to setting a good example by paying taxes and tariffs themselves when they are in host developing countries. And lastly, even if we mobilize resources and have effective governance, the question, of course, is governance for whom? And there, I think, the principle that's come out very clearly in the COVID crisis and will come out again in the climate crisis, that we need to have equal rights to health and to a safe environment. Principles that, by the way, are deeply embedded in national constitutions around the world need to be upheld and fought for. It's not enough just to have them in constitutions. They have to be more than words written on paper.
Corruption has diverted funds from investment in healthcare. Where corruption is systematic, governments tend to spend less on healthcare, thus increasing inequalities among societies, but also among countries. As the UN Secretary General pointed out, we're facing the same storm, but we are not in the same boat. In the midst of the campaign for a decade of accountability for the SDGs, we at the Contraloría, the Chilean Supreme Audit Institution, are committed to doing our part.
At the same time, the crisis has shown us that institutions that are ensuring transparency and accountability have become more important than ever. Supreme audit institutions can carry out audits at all levels of government. They have the essential task of assessing how taxpayers' money is used and whether the measures taken are transparent, sustainable, and inclusive.
COVID-19 has exacerbated our systemic vulnerabilities to crises and exposed the failure of macroeconomic governance, as 40 out of 43 countries are experiencing an unprecedented increase in debt-to-GDP ratio in the Asia-Pacific alone. Yet, business as usual continues, as almost 96% of the support provided by multilateral banks and international financial institutions to Asia-Pacific countries in 2020 are loans, with meager amounts in grants or debt relief. On the other hand, inequalities have been on the rise. Less than 1% of the region's 4.6 billion population is worth almost 54 times more than the combined GDPs of Asia-Pacific's least developed countries, further widened by the pandemic. So rather than pushing the poorest countries for economic self-reliance, financing for development processes should help them address corporate capture, debt distress, illicit financial flows, tax evasions, and neoliberal instruments like investor-state dispute settlement. The very lesson from COVID-19 is to strengthen public healthcare systems, enfeebled by massive privatizations. And yet, almost 76 out of 91 IMF negotiated loans in 2020 pushed for further belt tightening that could result in deep cuts to public healthcare and social protection systems. Such systemic issues have escalated health crises into economic, social, and environmental crises. As a result, decades of progress on poverty, hunger, health and education, gender, water and sanitation, inequalities, climate action, and stronger institutions is being reversed. The transformative new social contract requires urgent action to redress inequalities within and among countries, reconfigure power relations across socio-economic and political spheres, dismantle neoliberal capitalism, democratize governance, and ensure climate justice.
COVID-19 has intensified the need for accelerated, united action in light of the devastating toll the pandemic is taking on global health, social and environmental security, and progress on Agenda 2030. Interlinked challenges such as COVID-19, climate change, diminished biodiversity, and continuing crises rooted in economic, judicial, and human rights inequalities inform our call for accelerated action. While some people have access to healthcare, medicines, and vaccines, too many suffer without recourse. While human rights abuses go unpunished and access to justice remains the domain of the few, societies will not know peace and inclusion. These are well-worn truths. But civil society plays a pivotal role in advocating for healthy lives and well-being, reversing widening inequality, and promoting a peaceful, inclusive world.
There is broad agreement among governments that we need new global tax rules, but we still don't have an inclusive body where those rules can be negotiated. Instead, decision-making on global tax rules is being led by the G7, the G20, the OECD, which is also known as the Rich Countries Club. This is resulting in rules that do not reflect the interest of the world's poorest countries, but also in rules that do not effectively ensure that the world's wealthiest corporations and individuals pay their share of taxes and do not represent a global consensus.
When it comes to international negotiations, we as UN youth representatives experience many hurdles in our advocacy and negotiation efforts. Young people are described as active agents of peace, which means that equal treatment and representation should occur. We want to change the narrative from passive stakeholders to active shareholders. This is why we are also working on the establishment of a framework for the youth in order to participate as equals in negotiations. This notion was agreed upon by all member states in SDG 16, and this so-called generational test will be our main tool to translate that notion into practice. In conclusion, by the words of the former Secretary General Kofi Annan, we are never too young to lead, and you are never too old to learn.
This youth-led campaign pleads the UN member states to request an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice and the linkage between climate change and human rights, as well as the integration of the concept of intergenerational justice.
International governance, standards and rules for trade, investments, taxation, and financial flows must underpin national efforts to achieve more equal and inclusive societies.
6 years into the implementation of the 2030 Agenda, the international community is still off track on achieving SDG 16+, and we've unfortunately seen further stagnation and even serious backsliding of progress, even before the COVID-19 crisis. Civic space is shrinking, human rights abuses are on the rise, faith and trust in institutions is waning, conflict and fragility is deepening, and inequalities are widening, leading to blossoming protest movements in many countries where people still feel left behind.
We need to continue to seek cooperative approach to shared challenges, not only to be better prepared and to create resilience for future shocks and crises, but also to reinforce trust and strengthen security for all.
As we continue to relentlessly encroach on nature and degrade ecosystems, we endanger human health. We need to rethink our relationship with nature and build back better. It has been recognized that business as usual is no longer an option. We need to rethink the way we generate wealth, the way we live, produce, consume, move, and eat. We must shift to a new paradigm of resource use that is socially equitable, economically resilient, and environmentally healthy. Research by UNEP International Resource Panel proves that it is possible.
Muchas gracias. Saludo a todos los.
Thank you very much. And greetings to all the participants in this important political forum. The indigenous peoples have indicated that the Agenda 2030 for Sustainable Development and the SDGs provide us with a historical and unique opportunity to ensure that the more than 370 million indigenous people in at least 90 countries are not left behind. And yet, we continue to be victims of serious violations of human rights.
Access to justice for all persons with disability who have experienced gender-based violence during the pandemic by guarantee accessibility and reasonable accommodation in the judicial process.
So this meeting is adjourned, and thank you very much again to all of you for your active participation.
Dr. S.M. Munir is a dynamic personality with diverse experience in various sectors, including tanneries, textiles, and banking. He is the chairman, Dean Textile Mills Limited, and director, Dean Pharma Products Limited. He is a consummate industrialist and was awarded with the Best Export Performance Trophy by the Federation of Pakistan Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Gold Medallion Award from the International Export Association, United Kingdom. Dr. S.M. Munir was awarded Ambassador of Hope by the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Mr. Imran Khan, on 15th January 2021. Dr. S.M. Munir was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by the President of Pakistan in 2012. He was also awarded Sitara-e-Isar and Sitara-e-Imtiaz in 2006 and 2007 respectively by the President of Pakistan in recognition of his outstanding public services for the cause of humanity. His contributions and achievements go beyond the economic sphere into the education sector as well. Greenwich University bestowed upon him the honoris causa degree in recognition of his tremendous services for the business sector.
मैं तमाम जितने पेरेंट्स हैं जो बच्चे आज ग्रेजुएट हो रहे हैं उनको मुबारकबाद देता हूँ। तमाम पेरेंट्स को यकीन दिलाता हूँ कि ग्रीनविच यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़े हुए बच्चे आपके लिए एसेट साबित होंगे। ये आगे जाके अच्छे काम करेंगे, आपका भी नाम रोशन करेंगे और अपने मुल्क का नाम भी रोशन करेंगे। एक चीज़ और भी मैं कहना चाहता हूँ अपने स्टूडेंट्स को कि वालिदैन की इज़्ज़त करें, जो वालिदैन मशवरा दें उस पर अमल करें, कि बड़ों का तजर्बा हमारे से बहुत ज़्यादा होता है। हम समझते हैं बहुत समझदार हो गए, नहीं, टाइम लगता है, एवरीथिंग टेक्स टाइम। तो आप अपने वालिदैन की इज़्ज़त करें, उनकी बात सुने, उनकी पीस ऑफ एडवाइस को हुक्म मानें।
My name is Ishan Shah. I'm a proud alumni of Greenwich University, batch of 95. I was Dean's List here as well, apparently, and yeah, it's been great. The memories are tremendous. It's great to see everybody out here as we celebrate all these years. I'm basically from the banking profession and I'm part of the media and broadcasting, and all of that combined, it's been a fabulous, fantastic experience to be part of this institution. I wish you all well and hope that we meet again. Take care and have a great day.
Mr. Ali Jilani. He's a development practitioner focused on democratization of state and society in Pakistan, with over 10 years of advocacy at the national, regional, and global level.
He can only be realized if systemic barriers like global inequalities of wealth, power, and resources, international economic trade and monetary frameworks, militarism and conflict, patriarchal authoritarianism, marginalizing governance, shrinking democratic spaces, as well as a guilt-free pass on means of implementation commitments are addressed. The unprecedented COVID-19 crisis has reinforced the need to address such vulnerabilities caused by neoliberal globalization and flawed macroeconomic governance. ODA is falling short of its commitment of 0.7% of GNI, evident of the fact that only 6 countries could meet their ODA targets in 2017, with the overall contribution amounting to $147.2 billion against the required investment of US $5 to $7 trillion to achieve the SDGs. On the flip side, wealth and resources continue to flow from developing countries through illicit financial flows, tax evasions, capital flows, asset stealth, trade mispricing, and profit shifting by multinational corporations, where the data shows that the developing economies lost over $7.8 trillion between 2004 and 2013, with the outflows increasing at 6.5% every year, twice as fast as the global GDP. The terms of discussion around official development assistance need to change from an act of benevolence to that of responsibility for global north, reckoning the historical debt owed to the developing world after centuries of colonial plunder and its continued patterns through neo-imperial neoliberal tactics. People of the Asia-Pacific reject official development assistance used to catalyze private sector engagement, achieve trade, military, and political objectives of donor countries, and its substitution with climate financing, refugee costs, or debt cancellation as recently proposed by the Development Assistance Committee. ODA needs to be reformed, reviewed for impact, and held accountable for failure to deliver on the commitments rather than being reduced to buzzworded negotiation outcomes going 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Debt stress is another key challenge exacerbated by COVID-19, where increased debt financing along with economic downturn will lead to higher government debt to GDP ratio expected to rise to 49% in 2021 among the least developing countries, while the pandemic generally affecting a much larger group of 40 out of 43 countries in the Asia Pacific. Reiterating the Secretary General's appeal reckoning COVID-19 situation, we cannot resort to the usual tools in such unusual times, so we need strong multilateral commitments to address debt distress, having pushed poor countries into generational debt traps, leaving virtually no fiscal space for effective COVID recovery or sustainable development priorities. Trade as a critical MOI need to be democratized through structural reforms prioritizing people and the planet over profits, upholding the essence and multidimensionality of the Agenda 2030, safeguarding state policy space. Localization of SDGs shouldn't mean the absence of accountability mechanism at the global level. To ensure the establishment of global refugee giants must not be allowed to compromise privacy, hinder technology transfer, impede the capacity of developing countries to develop their technological capacity, marginalize human workforce, or undermine local knowledge systems. Policy emphasis on digitization and technological advancement must ensure a civil society-led thorough review of the potential adverse effects on the environment, the social, cultural, economic, civic, and political rights of the people. Our decade of action demands the dismantling of neoliberal development framework that destroys the environment, starves people of resources, and strips them of rights, and criminalizes those who stand for justice. The people of the Asia Pacific demand development justice. If the Agenda 2030 is to be endorsed as the global social contract between people and governments of the world, it's high time they walk the talk. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Jelani, for those very cogent comments. I'm sure that the participants have taken note of them and will bring them up in the breakout discussions.
We would like to introduce you with a student of Greenwich University, Ibad Mahmood. He has completed his BBA Marketing and currently completing his MBA in Supply Chain Management. Nigat Welfare Trust was started on 1st February 2014 on his beloved mother's name, as she is no more in this world. Nigat Welfare Trust is a non-profit organization. Nigat Welfare Trust wants to work for the betterment of society by providing individuals with basic necessities of life and free medical facilities. Along with studies, Ibad is passionate about serving humanity and is the Managing Director of Nigat Welfare Trust.
Choose a job you love and you will never have to work a day in your life. Our society aims to help you firstly identify your goal and then explore all the paths which will lead you to follow your dream career and enable you to manage and upgrade your skills through various seminars and interactive corporate sessions. Join us now on a fulfilling journey.
A certified Deloitte faculty member and business advisor, Mr. Sufyan Yousfi is a partner and head at one of the world's topmost consulting firms, Deloitte, where he serves as a lead business partner for NASA, an international development organization. Mr. Yousfi graduated from Greenwich University and went on to prove his mettle at Carnegie Mellon University, where he also served as a lead recruiting partner and a board member. Mr. Yousfi has been a part of Deloitte's commercial practice in New York City, serving multiple Wall Street financial service clients, large banks, private equity firms, and hedge funds. At present, he oversees multi-dimensional teams tasked with operational resilience, internal controls, cost optimization, trust and transparency programs. His client services include advanced machine learning, artificial intelligence, data analytic capabilities, and managing large-scale operational transformation programs. He has also published in Respond, Recover, Thrive, amongst other digital media platforms.
John is one of the most engaging young men that I've had the pleasure of teaching here at Carnegie Mellon. I met him 6 years ago, and we've become friends, and that has broadened my perspective more than it has his.
I'm glad, and looking at Sufyan, it makes me even more confident to say that the Greenwich University prepared him to get this far, and then he certainly worked hard to realize his own dream.
अगर आप चाहते हैं कि कुछ काम करें, दुनिया में अपना नाम बनाएं, तो अपना जो बेंचमार्क है ना कि आपको क्या बनना है या क्या करना है, वो काफ़ी ऊपर रखें.
He is a loving husband and a true friend. He is always there to help anyone and everyone who's around him. He genuinely cares for people and loves to propel them forward. His positivity is infectious. He loves to spread it around, and he is the life of every party.
सुफियान के बारे में बताना चाहती हूँ. वो शुरू से बहुत आउटस्टैंडिंग बच्चा रहा है, पढ़ने में भी अच्छा था, बहुत सोशल था, बहुत सारे इसके दोस्त अहबाब, और हम हमेशा ही समझते थे कि ये बहुत अच्छा नहीं करेगा, क्योंकि ये सारा सोशल बहुत था, इसकी दोस्ती बहुत थी.
In recognition of his achievements, Greenwich University presents him the Alumni Excellence Award 2022.
Founded in January 2015 as an email marketing firm, eMarketers have quickly expanded itself to become a digital marketing firm offering a one-window solution to its customers. Usman PEG creative thinking and leadership that eMarketers currently offers the market with 6 services which consist of email marketing, branded SMS marketing, social media marketing, search engine optimization, web development services, and photography services to its client. Specializing in business-to-business marketing, we currently possess diverse portfolio of firms which consist of companies such as HP Paper Pakistan, where we are their official vendor for digital marketing Pakistan, NAFA funds by National Bank of Pakistan, and also serving as official digital marketing partner of IEEP along with Badr Expo.
Japan is an island country in East Asia, located in the Pacific Ocean. It lies to the east of the Sea of Japan, the East China Sea, China, North Korea, South Korea, and Russia, stretching from the Sea of Okhotsk in the north to the East China Sea and Taiwan in the south. The kanji that make up Japan's name means sun origin, and Japan is often called the land of the rising sun. Japan is a member of the UN, the G7, the G8, and the G20. The country has the world's third largest economy by nominal GDP and the world's fourth largest economy by purchasing power parity. It is also the world's fifth largest exporter and fifth largest importer. Japan ranked first in the country brand index. Japan is a developed country with a high standard of living, and the country is ranked high in the Human Development Index. The Japanese population enjoys the highest life expectancy of any country in the world and the third lowest infant mortality rate. Japan is the highest ranked Asian country in the Global Peace Index. Pakistan and Japan have a history of glorious relationships spanning more than 6 decades. Both share age-old ties of common cultures, traditions, outlook, and consciousness. Pakistan's relationship with Japan is based on mutual trust and respect. Both countries have worked for regional peace and stability. Greenwich University's socio-cultural and educational tour is also a step forward by a top-ranking private university in Pakistan to develop people-to-people relations between the two countries.
I'm very thankful for Greenwich University. They took us to Japan, where we visited many different places. Over there, we went to Tokyo Tower, we went to Hosei University, Disney World, we went to Nissan production plant, and many different places. The experience was very different. It is much cleaner, much safer over there, and the people are very nice, but they are quiet, but they are very workaholic.
People in Japan were very nice, very helpful. There might have been a language barrier, but they never hesitated to help us out every time we got lost. I think the city itself was very clean. They were very punctual about timings. 5 o'clock in the morning used to be the rush hour at train stations, and I think that's amazing. I don't think I've ever seen or met people like that who were so work focused, who are so focused generally in life, and I think that's pretty amazing. I don't think Japan would have been a place where I would have visited otherwise. So thank you, Greenwich University, for giving me this opportunity.
Japanese people are workaholic. They wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. They're very determined. Like a couple of people that I met, they're doing part-time jobs. Like, Japanese people are so determined that they have 3 jobs at a single time. So one job from 9 to 2, and then so on and so forth. And they're very workaholic people. They're always working. They're always up to something. The norms of Japanese people are very clear, that they're very honest with whatever they do. They're very determined, as I said before, and they're very useful. Like they're very helpful. Whatever problem that first of all, there's a language barrier that we faced in Japan. But other than the language barrier, through determining their actions, they're very helpful. Wherever we got lost and whatever we wanted to find out, they're very helpful in communicating that with us. Hosei University was a wonderful experience. It was a big university, and it was very good. We did a presentation there, and it was very resourceful as well. I'm very thankful to Greenwich University to take me as part of the delegation, and I would love to go to Japan another time.
Mount Fuji was surreal. To be honest, it was something I saw it first time in my life, and it was so scenic, it was so beautiful. I remember when I was going up towards to look around the Mount Fuji, I could literally see the clouds touching my foot, and all that, and I could literally feel. I thank Miss Seema Mughal, who is the Vice Chancellor of Greenwich University, to give me the opportunity, because over there, I went on the stage to give out the speech about Greenwich University. It was something really, really good experience, because over there was like Japanese people, they were like and from different ethnic backgrounds, and over there when I was giving speech about my university and how amazing it is, I think I felt really, really great.